Hello and welcome to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
We got all three of us today. We're super jazzed. We have somebody here in person with us.
Studio.
We're in studio.
We
Thank
like
you very
those.
much. Steak and sizzle. Right? Sorry, inside joke, everybody. Before we introduce who our guest is today, Joe's going to remind us of our show's purpose.
Yeah, our show's purpose is to expose Rotarians and non-Rotarians to service opportunities, and how we do that is to have amazing guests like Mike and to tell great stories, what kind of groups that they're part of, how they've served, how they got connected to service. It's really inspiring and fun, and I hope it inspires all of you.
Every single time it's different, and it's always great. Nice job, Joseph Kirk.
Because our our purpose changes every single day, I feel like.
It does. So we have yet again another special guest on, and Joe alluded to who that is, but I'm going to give his full name, and it's Mike Deluca. He is a part of Global Travelers Rotary Club. I think I said that right. Correct? Okay, wonderful. Before we even get into what that means and how people can get involved with it, we want to get to know Mike Deluca. So first and foremost, my question, where'd you grow up?
Grew up in North Dakota.
Okay. And how did you end up here in the great state of Minnesota?
After grad school, I started a career in human resources and worked in Elk River, and that was my first job.
Okay, wonderful. So did you go to school here in the Twin Cities?
No.
Okay, where'd you go?
North Dakota.
In North Dakota.
UND.
UND?
North Dakota State.
And yes.
This feels a lot like I went to Iowa State, and
yeah.
the entire state is Iowa fans, and then there's the little bubble of Iowa State fans, and I'm sure it's exactly the same.
Correct. And then I did grad school in St. Cloud.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
So
Wonderful.
I started working my way east.
Yeah, slowly coming towards the Mississippi and crossing.
Undergrad was in...
Communications.
Okay. And grad school?
Human resources.
Okay. Beautiful.
Lovely. And then, how do you remember your first service project?
Well, first when did you become a Rotarian?
No. I'm saying
sorry.
first service
Before
project. Did
Rotarian.
you have parents that were involved in Rotary or any kind of service, maybe church organization?
No, I think service has just always been a part of who I've been as a person, back to high school, back to college. It's just was part of how my family was brought up.
Cool. Do you remember your first experience in service, where you were doing a project of some kind, maybe you were a kid?
It was probably the 4-H projects that we did out in North Dakota.
Sure.
We were always looking for something to do.
Well, what did you do with 4-H?
I ended up being a state ambassador for 4-H.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So we were always serving the rest of the 4-H community in the work that we did.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, can you share with our listeners what 4-H is?
4-H is
City girl right there.
I know what it is, but you know what? There might be listeners. I know what 4-H is. My mom grew up in Fairmont, Minnesota, okay? So it's a little bit more rural in that part, and my grandparents were from Iowa. I know what 4-H is, but...
Let the poor man answer the question.
Y'all making fun of me, okay?
It's an organization, an agricultural organization where students, small ones to college age, are involved in agricultural service and going to fairs, going to other activities and things. So.
Okay.
Very cool.
Very nice.
Rotary, how did you get there?
Well, an interesting story. Our son, my wife and I have 3 sons, and our middle son decided he wanted to be a youth exchange student. Came back one day and said, "Mom, Dad, I want to be a youth exchange." We had no idea what youth exchange was or Rotary was. We said, well, if you want to do that, he was a high school sophomore at the time. You want to do it? Figure it out. And he did. So we were introduced to youth exchange. He became a youth student, spent his junior year of high school in South Africa.
Oh, cool location.
Okay.
About 16 years ago, and that was really the first introduction we had to Rotary. Both my wife, Melanie, and I joined Rotary after that time. She started first. I came along after her. We joined a community-based club, and then Eric did his year of youth exchange. We then became very involved with the North Star Youth Exchange program.
Cool.
And then formed our Global Travelers Club a few years ago.
Yeah, and who did we have on with the North Star Youth Exchange? I'm totally blanking the name, but we've done a show on
Jackie and Eric and I think Elaine have all been a part of the show.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. We're over 50
I
episodes
was just
in.
going to
like,
say,
it's all
we've
blurring
had
together.
quite a few guests on, and so I like memory. My short-term memory is like the last few that were on.
How cool is it that the youth exchange worked the other way to get people in?
Right.
We've
Yeah.
heard so often how it brings people to start, because they experienced the youth exchange.
Yeah.
But not that their children being in the youth exchange got them
into Rotary.
And
That's a
actually,
big-
Chad, that's very common that a lot of parents end up becoming involved because their children have done. Both Melanie and I ended up chairing North Star at one point 6 and 8 years ago.
Okay.
So it's been a story. In fact, we're both still involved with North Star.
Yeah.
Because once you get youth exchange in your blood, it's really hard to get it out of.
Yeah, that's what we keep hearing. So you guys have had some you're pretty heavily entrenched with Rotary. One would say.
Entrenched.
I would say that's true. I'm involved with Youth Exchange. I'm president-elect of the North American Youth Exchange, which is the network of all districts in North America, Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. There's about 120 districts.
Oh, wow.
So that's coming up in the next few years. And I'm one of the assistant governors in the district.
Very
So,
cool.
yes, we're both heavily involved.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
have you hosted then obviously being involved with it a lot?
We have. We hosted a young lady from the Faroe Islands. And at the time, I got to
Interesting
tell you, I'm not
locations.
even sure I knew where the Faroe
I
Islands
was going to ask that question.
Where is
I-
it? Yeah.
I
Is
feel
it?
like I know geography fairly well. And I
Draw a
South
line
of Africa?
between Greenland and
was
Europe,
rough.
and about halfway in the middle, there's an island.
Oh, wow.
Faroe Islands.
Hey,
50,000 people.
50,000. That was going to be my next question. Wow.
You've had two of the most unique locations. Like everybody that we've talked to, it's like Spain. It's been
Couple Eastern.
Eastern European, very kind of more. Hey, let's go to Europe. So that's kind of cool to hear
Africa and
some of the different locations
Faroe
other than
Still Europe, but
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
just a long ways away.
Well, and when Eric selected where he wanted to go or was assigned to that, we think he wanted to get as far away from us as he could, which South Africa was. And that was shortly after apartheid. So it was a interesting time and place to send your son to. But he came back a completely different person.
Oh,
Matured
I bet.
very
Yeah.
much different.
Well, I mean the impact, right? What they see that is just so uniquely different than what we experience here in the United States is obviously going to be super impactful for them.
well, and Julie on Wednesday shared, if all students were youth
To
exchange
do youth
students,
exchange,
there'd be no wars.
There would be
We'd all figure it out.
world peace, is what she said.
Yeah.
So
That
very
is true.
Yeah.
Well, so Global Travelers, tell us a little bit more how you got involved there.
Well, during the pandemic, we decided we wanted to start a new club and do a virtual-only club. There hadn't been very many of those in the district. And in fact, worldwide, there are not that many virtual-only clubs. There's a lot of clubs that will be a hybrid model, which will be meet in person and have a virtual component. But we decided to make it completely virtual.
Yeah.
Just do something
Just lean
totally
right
out of
into
the
it.
box. And during the pandemic, it wasn't real hard to do that because everybody was doing it.
People got real comfortable with virtual.
yes,
So
they did.
we got very good at how to run Zoom meetings, how to involve people, how to engage people in Zoom activities, and that has blossomed. We've moved our club from 24 people when we chartered all the way up to almost 100 right now.
Wow.
And I'd like to share that our club has grown. We have a 2-to-1 female to male ratio. Our giving has quadrupled, and our member engagement is off the roof. And tell me another Rotary club in the world that can say those things. Mm-hmm. And we're getting younger.
Interesting.
Well, and those are all the core metrics that we're really looking for out of our clubs as as we continue to adapt and grow to a new world. And and what I'm excited as we kind of come out of this segment is maybe some of the things that you've learned through the Global Travelers that can be applicable to other clubs.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's the diversity, having more women, and then the growth that's incredible. That's we haven't heard that from a lot of clubs or people we've met with yet.
You can watch the clock anytime.
I am watching it. I was just waiting for Chad to wrap up and hear the music too. So, as a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
Of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing now was performed by Rotary Club of Dar es Salaam, Oyster Bay.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms, and
You can find us by looking up Searching for Service on any of your on any of the platforms.
You can also find us on YouTube, and you can share us, and we love 5-star reviews.
Lots of 5-star
boom,
reviews.
boom, boom. We hit it all. Nice job, guys. It was very wonderful.
Smooth as sandpaper.
If you are tuning in for the first time, we have our guest, Mike Deluca, and he is a part of the Global Travelers Rotary Club. And so the last segment, we just kind of hit the tip of the iceberg in regards to what is Global Travelers. And so it sounds like, Mike, you've got a nice story to share about Rotary.
So as you got going, and you're kind of telling us a little bit how the success was, but how did the district support, and how did you really start and grow?
Good question. When we decided to form this new creative club, we were trying to put people together that shared something in common. And I take nothing against away from a community-based club, but the fact, Chad, that I would live 5 doors down from you may not mean I have anything in common with you.
Right.
We decided to try a different approach and to put together people that shared a common interest. And what was our interest? We wanted to travel internationally, serve people, meet other Rotarians, and have fun. Those are our 4 basic platforms that we have. So we started organizing ourselves around those functions. And the district was very helpful, assigned a mentor. In fact, Tom Gump, who I think all of us know.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Who's Tom Gump?
Tom, bless his soul, helped us sort of get ourselves organized because a club in today's world, it's not easy to form one. There's a tremendous amount of administrative work that you have to do. You have to have a constitution. You have to have a bylaws. You have to have purposes. You have to follow all the Rotary rules about how to establish a club. And he helped us navigate some of those. The district actually helped provide some initial startup funds because as a club, you have to get certain things, like needed a Zoom account if we were going to be a local. So the district provided us some grant money to form and to get ourselves organized and to get us to the point of being chartered is the official term by Rotary International. We did that in April of 21 and started with 24 members. You have to have at least 20 to charter a new Rotary club. We had 24. Fast forward to today in 2023, we have almost 100 members. So we have moved in a direction of drawing people together based on those interests of travel, serving, meeting people, and having fun. And
pretty wide swath you're hitting there too, right?
Yeah.
I can see how that appeals to a lot of people.
it is, but it's a defined focus.
Yeah.
Travel internationally.
Yep.
Serve internationally.
Get together internationally.
Right. And many we have sponsored trips. We have a number of trips coming up that we can get into. But we learn to travel together. And for anybody that has traveled, particularly internationally, if you go by yourself, it can be very frightening, very lonely. But to go with people that you know, you have a built-in confidence and a built-in ability to work better.
Yeah.
And there's Rotary clubs everywhere.
Yeah.
We went to Vietnam last year as a group, and there were 3 Rotary clubs in Vietnam that had just been formed. And they were more than pleased to see our group of 25 people.
Oh, very cool.
It's so
Wonderful.
fascinating. You know, and something that I'm just thinking through as like you're talking about the formation of this club is I think that the club just hit the perfect chords on, you know, we're in a shifting world where we've had social media, where interest-based groups, you know, it's less geographic. It's more, hey, do you think the same, or do we have commonalities in some shape or form? And how do we mobilize? And how do we get together? And, you know, I'm just thinking through like kind of the way you guys form that club, and you're starting to see other clubs that are doing this, the Veterans Club. You're starting to see other clubs that are a little bit more cause and interest based, and you start to see the genius behind this, where there isn't any borders and boundaries, where we really leverage our international component of who we are as Rotarians in these clubs. It doesn't have to be that it's community based. However, it is important to have the community based ones because
community.
Clearly, yes. Where the cause-based clubs have a commonality, though, is because I immediately have something in common with you. Now I can build on that, and we can make that become the synergism that we're looking for as we grow our club.
Yeah. You have a wheelie bag? I have a wheelie bag. Let's travel together.
Do people need to have a home base here or just a connection? Could they live abroad and be in it, or is there no geographic?
Are there requirements?
Yeah,
Quite on the contrary. We have people that live in 25 states and 4 countries.
Cool.
And there is no geographical boundaries because we are not together. Now, we do periodically have in-person social gatherings because the face-to-face is an important piece of the relationship building. A couple of weeks ago, we had a social up at a cabin in northern Minnesota, and we had 35 people show up for that, including 2 people from Virginia, 2 people from Florida, and a person from Oklahoma who specifically traveled to get to this in-person social of their virtual club.
Oh, man, that's so cool. That's so cool.
It is, yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? I coach with a group of agents from all over the country, and we get together once a year. And to your point, there is almost nothing that each one of us will do or won't do to get there. And it's the same thing where we're connected together through kind of this common bond, this common interest.
Yeah.
And we have communication along the year. And then we host the in-person events, and that's everything. The in-person event is everything. And it just galvanizes everything together. And so to hear that and kind of just to see that repetition in other types of groups and things, and you see why it's successful, right? Like you can understand why this group is so successful is because you've kind of hit a nerve on what the missing piece of, not just Rotary, but other membership organizations that they're bumping into right now, where I think that they're bumping into geography, they're bumping into age, they're bumping into all these different types of barriers where, man, this just goes right over the top of all of them. And it's really inspiring to hear about it because there's so many other types of clubs that should be forming immediately off of this and just go stamp.
Right. And we have found that any time 2 or more Rotarians get together, we're gonna gather. If we go to the district conference, anybody that's affiliated with Global Travelers will have a little session. When we were out at the Youth Exchange Conference last year in D.C., we had 25 people that were. Keep in mind, a lot of the Global Travelers have a youth exchange background because of the international connection. So we got together. Each of the Rotary conferences, the conventions that are coming up in Singapore and in Calgary, we are having a gathering. Last year in Australia, we had 12 people that were there, and they all had lunch together.
That's cool.
So when 2 or more are gathered, we will get together.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It's just so cool hearing about that.
How did you help spread the word about this new club that was coming to fruition? And then, I'm curious about how
did you grow?
How it grew so rapidly.
It started with an article in the Rotary International magazine in March of 2022. On page 52, to be specific. Not that I remember that. And that got us worldwide coverage.
Okay.
We also have a very robust marketing effort through social media. Or is it now just called social, I think, isn't it?
Who knows?
I don't know. They change it every day.
Right. So
Can't
we have
keep
a very good website. We have Facebook presence. We have other social media processes, too.
Okay.
And by the way, I'll add the website to the description when we post the podcast so you can check it out.
Right. It's very easy. RotaryGlobalTravelers.com.
Brilliant.
I'll still add it, but you should be able to remember that.
Very true.
Well, we got just a couple, we got about 1 more minute before we go into break. And, just have you had other organizations reach out to you guys for inspiration based on your guys' success?
We have. And in fact, I have spoke probably 5-6 times around the country. I'll get a random call sometime from a club in Virginia who heard about us through something and just wants to hear our story. So we do those virtually, and we're more than happy to do that. We'll even we have a team of folks that will come and do in-person presentations. We were at the Minnetonka Club a couple of weeks ago and shared our story. And interesting, every time we do that, you'll find somebody that will go, gosh, could I hear a little more about your
Yeah.
club, and could
Yeah.
I come visit you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, just even the couple segments that we've had with you now, I'm like, man, this is amazing. Like, I understand why cause-based
It's
clubs
going to
are
be a
are
globetrotter
really
before
cool.
I know it, Mike. Well, we're going to learn more about this in the upcoming segments. But in the meantime, you are listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? Rotary is a great place to get involved in your community and meet passionate groups of people, as well as individuals dedicated to service and fellowship. At Rotary, we believe in the power of teamwork to bring positive change. As a member, you will have the opportunity to participate in exciting projects that address local and global challenges. From supporting educational initiatives to environmental conservation, we tackle it all. Joining a Rotary Club means becoming part of a diverse family of individuals who share a passion for giving back and having fun while making positive impact. With projects and events that enrich your community, there's something for everyone, from local initiatives to international collaborations. It doesn't matter what culture or country you come from. What matters is that you want to belong to a group that strengthens communities and creates lasting change. There's a place for everyone at Rotary, regardless of age or background. Learn more by searching for a Rotary Club in your community and visiting. Together, let's make a difference. Rotary, people of action.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms, and
You can find us by looking us up.
Looking
Searching
up.
for service. So looking up Searching for Service.
We're on YouTube. You can find us there. And love if you share, like, and give us 5-star reviews.
5-star review.
the next segment intro will be so much better. If you're tuning in for the first time, we have Mike Deluca on, who is he is a part of the Global Travelers Rotary Club. We're happy to have you on.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, let's talk about how your club serves, because with people being in different locations, it's perceived to be difficult, because how do you get people together and how do you do it? But it sounds like you guys make it easy.
Well, it is, and service is really the whole ballgame. It's why we exist. It's at the heart of who we are as Rotarians. So if we're going to come up with a virtual club, we needed to have a virtual model of how we were going to serve. We do emphasize international service. So that's at the core of what we do, but it doesn't mean that the service has to be done internationally. As an example, last year we collected baseball equipment and softball equipment, gathered in South Dakota for an event for a weekend, where we collected all this, loaded a container that was shipped to Nicaragua, and then we sent a group down to help distribute this baseball equipment to kids in the Nicaragua area.
Huh.
That is serving the needs there, yet we did it locally.
Yeah.
Last year we had a campaign where we collected, of all things, new underwear. We did not have used underwear, but new underwear, and it was shipped to a deaf school in Haiti. So we figured that out. We have 4 trips coming this fall to Cuba, and we're going to be bringing medical supplies. So one of our members is affiliated with a nonprofit organization down in Oklahoma, where they repurpose donated medical supplies.
Sure.
You know, the expired medical supplies that are there. So we'll be bringing medical supplies to Cuba for the people that we're meeting when we go down there. And as an example, in Cuba, if you go to the hospital, not only do you have to pay, but you have to bring all your own supplies, your own sheets, your own masks, the gown that your surgeon is going to use, the gloves that the surgeon is going to use. It's just a different world.
That's a whole different podcast, too.
That
Like,
is
we're gonna get into,
so
oh my gosh.
confusing
Like,
and
what?
mind-boggling and kind of like, boo.
I don't think I breathed the entire time that you said that. I'm like, what? This broke my brain. Like,
Yeah.
what?
It's just that's the way they do it in Cuba.
Yeah.
So we try to do service. We have a service project we're putting together right now for our club, and we're parlaying it into the district service event. But it's going to be a program called Trash Talk that we'll be introducing at our club meeting next week. And the idea is we're going to have everybody do a trash challenge.
Sure.
Wherever you are, go pick up trash. Report back the number of bags of trash that you've had, and we'll compare those, and we'll have a challenge that we'll do. So we're keeping service in front of our people because that's who we are as Rotarians.
Yeah.
I find that so interesting. And what I think is actually probably the most valuable component of having people in all of these different locations is the variety of service types that you end up doing. Where, like, and again, this isn't bad in a lot of the community-based clubs, you end up doing the same service projects over and over and over again, which is great. You support similar groups and all of that, great. But it's got to be that you guys have so much opportunity and so diverse types of service that you can't really stay on one for very long because the opportunities are just everywhere.
Right.
The only requirement that we have is that the service you do should be somehow linked to one of the 7 areas of focus.
Sure.
And as long as it's part of that, and it's actually pretty hard to do a service project that you can't link to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
But we do try to spread it out, too, because with 100 members, you may have a group that's very interested in the ecology part of the environment. So we will do a service project coming up in another year in Hawaii, of all places. And we're going to do reef restoration. You might have we've got a small group that is very interested in solar type energy. A lot of people with clean water. We were one of, I believe, if not the first virtual club to get a global grant. My wife Melanie wrote the grant for a Columbia water project where an entire community is going to get clean water. And it's a $94,000 project through the grant within the district. And then we're going to take a group of people this winter down to view the project and to help actually put together the units that are put together as part of our service. So
cool.
You can find anything you want to do. And with 100 people, we have 100 different ideas.
Well, and talk a little bit about, so the 100 people, you mentioned off air, or maybe it was on air, the like how the giving has increased exponentially versus like to the number of new members. So like, or that it's increasing, in a certain level of magnitude versus like linearly. Explain a little bit about that and maybe why that's happening.
Consider giving in 2 ways. One is financial, and one is of your time.
Yep.
And financially, our group has almost quadrupled the giving since they started. When you get involved with Rotary, we have a number of Paul Harris Society members. Yep. We have several major donors. Okay. This district is rich with major donors. It's one of the highest per capita major donors in the world in our district. And we also are advocates of using the grant money that are there. Through our 2 years of being in existence, we have sponsored 3 different small international grants, 1 global grant, and if the district would let us, we'd probably have another 3 or 4 of them lined up. So every year we challenge ourselves to do at least one, if not two, grants, because those become the basis of the international service that we're doing.
Wow.
Very cool.
You've listed off a few places coming up that I'd be interested in going, but as a club member, in the community level, can I join, or is it just for? Does it have to be your primary club, or
What
how
are
does
the
that work?
requirements?
Yeah.
You must be this, or you must do
how
this.
does it work?
Like,
Our requirements are: do you like to travel internationally? Do you like to meet Rotarians? Do you like to serve? And do you like to have fun?
I'm out.
You were with
he
us
doesn't
until
like to
that
have fun, Mike.
Fine. What is that?
So we do have two categories of membership. Rotary's used to one category.
Yeah.
You're a member, either a member or you're not. And in today's world, we have found, I think churches find this too, that people want to be affiliated with you, but they don't necessarily want to be a member. Signing up on the dotted line is not as important of value to a 30-year-old as it was maybe to my generation of folks. So what we did is we creatively came up with a new category. We made it up. It's called associate members. And what an associate member is you're a part of another Rotary club. That's the requirement. You must be another part of a Rotary club. And you could then become an associate of ours for a $50 a year fee. Our regular dues are $195, very cheap compared to many Rotary groups. We don't have lunches or
Yeah, I was going to say,
meals.
hear that, Edina Morningside?
Yeah.
Well, we have some clubs that are $1,500 a year, and that's just not going to be inclusive to people.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've created those two membership categories, and the associate membership category often is a spouse of one who's in another club. And by having associate members, about half of our group is associate members, I look at it this way. I have 100 people that are affiliated with our group. And some may say, well, that's your N number. No, my N number is 800. And the reason is I have a member who's in Edina Morningside. They're an associate with us.
Yeah.
I have the entire membership of Edina that I can count as part of what we're doing. So when we're doing service projects, we'll go to them. We'll ask for help. We'll support their service project in return. So all of a sudden, I have 800 people, and it's not just in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
It's in 25 states
It was
and
just
4 countries.
literally just what I was thinking. Is like you've got that the branch reach across a ton of states. So that's cool. Now I'm curious who it is.
Yeah, well, no, it's so funny because one of the feedbacks that I've figured out with Rotary is it's so great at diffusing down to its club level, and sometimes it's tougher to get up the ladder. And so when you can go across at the club level, like that's when you start to be able to connect up the ladder really quickly, because all of those connections amongst all the clubs, it's so fascinating to see how that you kind of hacked that obstacle.
Collaboration of clubs is key.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. And I hope we talk a little bit more about that in the next segment, because I think the collaboration
We
component
can.
is
Sure
really
can.
important.
Well, let's plan to do that then. As a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build good? Will it better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing right now was performed by the Rotary Club of Saskatoon, Natuna in Canada.
When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. You can find us by looking up Searching by Service on any of your favorite podcasting platforms, and you can find us on YouTube doing the same thing.
We also love those 5-star reviews.
Awesome.
Give us the gold.
Mike, thanks so much for the next 5-star review.
Thank you.
So in the last segment, we always like to talk about the future, and let's start with the short term. What are some of the upcoming opportunities and trips and service you guys have coming in the short term?
Great question. We have 4 different groups that will be going to Cuba starting in November of this year. While we're there, we'll be providing medical supplies to the Cuban people. We have a group going to Guatemala in late January where they're going to be doing some service work. Colombia in February, where we're going to be tracking our global grant that our club wrote last year that's producing the water filters for an entire community. Over 3,000 families will be getting water filters. So we'll be down there watching our project and seeing what's there. In April, we've got a group of 40 people going to Egypt. And in Egypt, we are following up on a small international grant that our club wrote last year for $30,000 that provided liver health education and some treatment. Some things happened in Egypt over the years that caused a higher than normal outbreak of liver cancer in Egypt. So we're trying to make a dent in that by educating some of the nurses and doctor staff on that.
Fascinating.
We will be gathering in Singapore at the conference. We're doing a unique fundraising trip in November of 24 where we're taking a European river cruise. And Rotary, our Global Travelers Foundation, will get a chunk of the money back to be used for service projects. So it's our way of doing a local fundraiser. And then we have a group going to Ethiopia in January of 25 to help serve the community that is in Ethiopia, some very different conditions over in Central Africa. And then we'll be doing a service project in Hawaii in December of 25 where we'll be doing some reef restoration. So hitting the different areas of emphasis from health to water to environment to energy, whatever it is.
You're hitting a lot of categories of fun, too. And
I know. I also found it to be intriguing that you're going to Hawaii in December.
Well, we're not stupid either.
For those members that are up in the Midwest, they're like, thank you.
That's the line of the day. We're not stupid either.
Yeah.
And do you take Rotarians that are not affiliated with the club, or is it always just associates and members that are?
No, the associates and members would get preference if we had numbers issues, and sometimes we do run out of space in a group. But we do want to invite other Rotarians to join us. In fact, we've picked up a lot of members and associate members by going, gosh, you guys really are fun to travel with, and you're doing something important. So we often start with whoever has helped collaborate on a particular grant. As an example, our Columbia grant had 15 different Rotary clubs.
Sure.
So we've been making the rounds to those clubs saying, hey, if anybody would like to join us, you guys have helped fund this, bring it back to your club by doing it. And that's how we help build the family a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you see in the future where, each club has an international representative. Do you know what I mean? That is part of the club. Like where, I mean, because it doesn't sound like,
Like
you
a
could
global
you could
traveler.
literally throw a
Amazing.
rock and somebody's going to be like, oh, that's an interesting club. I'll volunteer.
Yeah.
Well, and some interesting facts. We have one member in our club who we believe holds the world's record for he's been to every country represented by the United Nations, which is like 128 of them, and he did it by the time he was 28.
Wow.
Now, he works for the United Nations. I'll give him that.
Okay.
That helps.
However, we also have one person that she's up around 100. And I asked her a couple of months ago, well, where do you want to go next? Because I figure you're going to go to someplace exotic because you've already gone to the 90-some countries. And I thought Melanie and I were doing pretty well, but we're at about 50
Wow.
countries. And many of our folks have more than that. To your question, could each group should each community-based club have an international representative or something? That's up to the club.
Yeah.
There are some clubs that just don't want to focus on international, and that's okay.
Yeah.
If they want to focus on the ditch on the road, great. That's up to them.
We got highway cleaning coming up.
Sorry, it was like too close to home because it's literally tomorrow.
Is road cleanup?
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I chuckled.
The world needs ditch diggers too, Daddy.
Yes, yep.
So yeah, it's kind of unique to each club, but I think there's probably most clubs I think would probably have a connection.
And in fact, we see this often that some people will change their membership over to Global Travelers from a community-based club because their club has made a conscious decision that we don't want to get involved in international things. We'd like to keep our work local, which is okay.
Yep.
However, if that turns that member off to being a Rotarian, I'd rather create the safe space where they can go. We are not out to steal other members of Rotary, but probably a third of our members probably wouldn't be Rotarians today if we didn't have Global Travelers.
Yeah.
Well, and that speaks to just how important that your club is
Yep.
because it's just addressing a huge need that's probably larger than you can imagine. I mean, you guys are only a few years old and you're already at 100 members. It'd be interesting to see. Like, do you guys have goals for
Yeah, where does
membership
the
goals?
long-term future look for you?
We could see ourselves a lot larger.
Yeah.
But it isn't about the numbers. It's about, are we engaging our members? And
Yeah.
we measure one thing and one thing only. Of our 100 people, how many people are actively involved? And I mean actively involved. You come to a meeting, you come to a social, you come to a travel trip. And we're up in the 80% in engagement. So think about a traditional club who has 50 members. You might get 10 people coming to a club meeting.
Right.
That's an engagement at 20%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll keep our 80 to 85% engagement and not worry if I have 500 or if I have 100.
Well,
Sure.
then it just leads me to the next question is, are there limits to the size that you can see? Maybe you haven't reached it yet, but it'll be interesting. Do you see that there's a limitation of size where maybe you get to 150 members and it starts to become a little bit more difficult and you have to more or less spin off and do another one?
I don't know the answer to that because we aren't there
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's so new.
Good problem to have, I suppose, too.
if you look at, we have 8 trips coming up in the next 2 years. Not everybody's going to go to every one of those trips.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to,
Yeah.
but it's hard.
Life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way. But when you have 100 or 200 people, you could almost, to the point you made earlier, you could throw a dart at a map and say, we're going to go to that country and do a service project and meet the Rotarians in there. And I'll almost guarantee I'd get 10, 15 people that would go there.
Yeah.
For sure, right? I mean,
So why wouldn't we want to continue that and just build our infrastructure around how to create these engagement opportunities for everybody, whether they be the socials, whether they be events, whether they be a travel trip someplace. and meeting the Rotarians. We are gaining worldwide recognition.
Yeah.
That Rotary article didn't hurt.
Yeah.
And it's now we have to figure out how to take the next step, which is really to have more trips, have more engagement, get our message out more to people. Still, people will go, I never knew about you.
This is where my brain is broken compared to other people, is like I can immediately like play that out and go, think of, where you've got an exposure of thousands of people and you do exactly what you just said. We're going to go to this location at this time, sign up, and you've got 500-600 people and you're like, cool, we're going to do a fundraiser when we're there. We're going to fundraise for this project. We're going to do the whole project. Like literally I could see like the whole self-sustaining component as, for a project. You don't even have to go through the grant process. We're like, we're just going to fund it through people come in, they're bringing their $200 a piece, boom, and we're just going to do it. And
then you can have the big impacts.
And then you got the big impact. Like, it's just it's so cool to see. I mean, Mike, this has been such a fabulous interview, and kind of to break down a lot of those barriers that we've seen in not just Rotary, but other membership organizations are dealing with the same problem.
I think what I like about having you on and doing this interview with you is that it really it provides an alternative opportunity for somebody who would want to get involved. They want to do service in some way, shape, or form. They see the value of becoming a Rotarian, but maybe that like super structured approach just isn't speaking to them. Well, enter Global Travelers.
Yeah.
It's also interesting noting the number of spouses that end up joining ours. Their spouse is a Rotarian, but that club doesn't really meet their needs. Then they hear about us and they go, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
District gains a member.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So cool.
We've really enjoyed having you on today, Mike. Thank you so much for taking time to come and visit us and do this in person. We truly appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
It's time to stop searching
And start serving.
We'll see you next time.